Kyojuro Rengoku's efforts. The person that stood out the most in Kimetsu no Yaiba's Infinity Train arc had to be the Flame Pillar, Kyojuro Rengoku. Kyojuro, in the Infinity Train arc, served as a model for the other members of the Demon Slayer Corps because of his strong and noble spirit. He showed great success in protecting many passengers. Unfortunately, at the end of the battle on the Infinity Train, upper rank number 3, Akaza, showed up, defeated Kyojuro in a fight, and killed him. It's a terribly sad fact that we were not able to see Kyojuro's brave figure after the Infinity Train arc. I think many of you would have loved to see what great things he could have accomplished if he were able to continue being a pillar. With that in mind, in this video, I want to think about what would have happened if Kyojuro were able to take part in the battle at the Dimensional Infinity Fortress. Would the tide of battle at the Dimensional Infinity Fortress change because Kyojuro took part in the fight? We'll also talk about how the upper-ranked demons fight. So, please be sure to watch until the end of the video. The character of Kyojuro Rengoku. Kyojuro was born into a family that was famous in the Demon Slayer Corps for producing flame pillars every generation. After Kyojuro grew up, he became the Flame Pillar, one of the 9 pillars that held up the Demon Slayer Corps, and proved himself worthy of being born into that family. Kyojuro seems like he's hard to get close to because he's too open-minded and does not sweat the small stuff. But once you get to know him, you can see that he is a really good person. For the younger people of the Demon Slayer Corps, he has an aura of someone that can be relied upon. That's why there are so many soldiers that love him. After defeating Enmu on the Infinity Train, which Tanjiro and the others boarded, he took on upper rank number 3 Akaza, who suddenly showed up. The grandfather of all demons, Muzan, created an elite class of demons known as the 12 Kizuki, but the most powerful among those are the 6 members of the upper rank. It's said that 3 pillars are needed to balance the power of just one upper rank demon, so we can see just how powerful the demons of the upper rank really are. When Akaza appeared in front of Kyojuro, there were no pillars around, so he had to take on the demon by himself. No matter how many times Kyojuro slashed at Akaza, the demon would quickly regenerate, so Kyojuro tried using Flame Breathing's 9th form, Rengoku, to get a great victory. Unfortunately, Kyojuro was not able to cut off Akaza's head and end up passing away because of the wounds he sustained in the battle. By the way, there are some fans out there that say Kyojuro's Demon Slayer mark appeared during his battle with Akaza. I have to give it to them that it does look like there's a Demon Slayer mark on his forehead. But unfortunately, that is just the shape of blood that flowed through that area. The first time a Demon Slayer mark shows up in the story is when Tanjiro and the others fought upper rank number 6, Gyutaro. When a person gets their Demon Slayer mark, it drastically improves their physical abilities, and when one member of the group gets it and responds, the other members of the group can more easily get their mark. During the battle at the Dimensional Infinity Fortress, all of the pillars got their Demon Slayer mark except for the Insect Pillar, Shinobu Kocho. If Kyojuro were able to get his Demon Slayer mark, we would be able to see him with much more power. In the case that Kyojuro were to have joined the battle at the Dimensional Infinity Fortress, he would have had to fight upper rank demons, so he probably would have achieved this Demon Slayer mark. Kyojuro vs Akaza. What would have happened if Kyojuro were able to take part in the battle at the Dimensional Infinity Fortress and fought Akaza? During the Infinity Train arc, Kyojuro was able to get close to cutting off Akaza's head, even without the Demon Slayer mark. But I don't think he would have an easy time, even if he did have his mark. The reason is that Kyojuro used the fact that Akaza's arm was stuck in his torso to slow down Akaza's movements. If it were not for such fearless actions, there would be no way for Kyojuro to be more powerful than Akaza. Even if Kyojuro were to get stronger during the practice and pillar training after the battle on the Infinity Train and was able to get his Demon Slayer mark, it is undeniable that there would still be a difference in ability between him and Akaza, who has pursued supreme power by training for a long time. Even if the Demon Slayer mark does make a person more powerful, because Akaza can quickly regenerate, Kyojuro would have a long way to go before he would be able to cut off Akaza's head. What makes fights against Akaza so hard is his Blood Demon art, Destructive Death, Compass Needle, which is a fighting method that is used to unleash skills when a strong fighting spirit is sensed. This is my personal opinion, but I'm sure Kyojuro, who's highly motivated, also has a large amount of fighting spirit. If Kyojuro were able to see into the transparent world, he would be able to prevent himself from showing his fighting spirit. But I really wonder if he would be able to do that. Supposing that Kyojuro knew someone that could see into the transparent world, he would be able to learn about its existence. But that was not possible for him. Actually, because Tanjiro's father and Kokoshibo could see into the transparent world, Tanjiro and Stone Pillar Gyome Himejima could learn about that world. If he was not able to see the transparent world, the only chance of victory would be teaming up with Tanjiro and the Water Pillar, Giyu Tomioka. It should be possible to cut off Akaza's head if all three of them work together. In particular, I think water breathing, which uses careful stances that are able to stop attacks, along with flame breathing, which is powerful enough to stop even strong enemies, would work well together. We were never able to see Kyojuro and Giyu fight together during the story, but I think if they did fight together, they would make a great team. While water breathing is used to parry Akaza's attacks, Kyojuro would be able to attack the openings, making the fight difficult for Akaza. We know this because when Tanjiro and Giyu worked together, they were able to hit Akaza with an attack. The two pillars, Kyojuro and Giyu working together with Tanjiro using sun breathing, would be able to cut off Akaza's head with no problem. It could be that even if Tanjiro did not know about the transparent world, the three would be able to win the battle. If they did cut off Akaza's head, he would probably just disappear at that moment. The reason is that Akaza, trying to make sure his weak spot was not his neck, was because he was angry that he could not see into the transparent world. If the three worked together to kill Akaza, he would probably disappear like a normal demon because he would not be able to believe he lost, or that he lost to such teamwork. If they were able to work in that way, they would be able to spare some energy for the rest of the fight and really help out the members of the Demon Slayer Corps. Even with that being the case, Tanjiro needs to be able to see into the transparent world for the battle with Muzan. Because of that, the best way for the fight to end would be for Kyojuro and Giyu to work together to chop off Akaza's head, while Tanjiro is able to see into the transparent world. Kyojuro versus Doma. Now let's take a look at what would have happened if Kyojuro fought upper rank number 2, Doma. Shinobu significantly contributed to the death of Doma by taking 37 kilograms of wisteria poison into her body before being absorbed by him. So we'll have to think about what could happen if Shinobu were absorbed and if she wasn't. If Shinobu was absorbed, Doma would lose the fight no matter what. Given that the humans buy enough time, it would be easy enough for Kyojuro to keep Doma inside the room for long enough. In other words, the addition of Kyojuro would just end with the same results as before. If Shinobu did not get absorbed, the fight would be 4-1, with Shinobu, Kyojuro, Kanao, and Inosuke all taking on Doma. In the story, Doma never made a serious effort in his fight against Shinobu and Kanao, so we have no idea what he could actually do. During the fight, the poison on Shinobu's Nichirin sword had no effect, and Kanao was only able to land a few blows. This means that Kyojuro would probably be the leader of the group, with all the others being support fighters. We should not expect the support fighters to be able to deal a lot of damage to Doma, but they would be good enough to break his concentration, especially Shinobu, because she is so fast. Doma has earned the position of upper rank number 2, and the pure power of his blood demon arts show that. The thing that's especially dangerous about Doma is the fact that all of his blood demon arts have an effect called freezing powder, which can destroy lung tissue. This is extremely effective against the members of the Demon Slayer Corps who use breathing techniques. The first thing that came to mind was the fact that Kyojuro uses flame breathing, so he should be super effective against Doma's ice. It would be great if Kyojuro could get rid of all the freezing powder in one swing, but that might be nothing more than a faint hope. The reason for this is that in the anime and manga, Kyojuro's Nichirin sword is drawn as if it's producing flames, but that is just a visual effect, and there are no actual flames. Since there are no flames, he would not be able to destroy the freezing powder and would have a hard fight just like the other soldiers. Not only can Doma stop the use of breathing techniques, but he uses Crystalline Divine Child to produce powerful copies of himself. The closer an opponent gets to Doma, the more freezing powder they will breathe in. So Kyojuro should use such flame breathing techniques such as Flame Tiger and Rengoku because they are powerful and cover a large area. Shinobu and Kanao don't have any attacks like that, so Kyojuro would be a great addition into their team. Even if that's the case, Doma is one of the top enemies of the Demon Slayer Corps. The lungs of the soldiers are terribly damaged by ice to the point where they almost die and won't be able to take place in the next battle. There's a distinct possibility that the battle between Kyojuro and Doma would end in a standoff. Doma can only be defeated if their opponents risk their lives for the cause. There's a possibility that even with Kyojuro and the others fighting together, the battle might be close. So if anyone were to die, the Demon Slayer Corps would lose a lot of power. There's also the possibility that if Kyojuro were to join the battle, Doma would actually fight seriously, and the good guys would lose the battle. I don't like saying it, but Shinobu giving her life to kill Doma might be one of the best ways for that battle to go. Kyojuro versus Kokoshibo. How would the fight with upper rank number 1, Kokoshibo, have gone if Kyojuro took part in the battle? The Mist Pillar, Muichiro Tokito, was the first person to come across Kokoshibo, and as a result, quickly got his left arm cut off. Even though Muichiro was called a genius swordsman, because Kokoshibo's attacks are always moving and changing, it takes senses that are cultivated through long experience to avoid them. If Kyojuro was able to come upon Kokoshibo before Muichiro, because Kyojuro has more experience than Muichiro, he might have been able to hold off Kokoshibo for longer while also taking less damage. Even with that being the case, it would be hard for Kyojuro to stand for too long against Kokoshibo's moon breathing. Both Muichiro and the Wind Pillar, Sanemi Shinazugawa, fought against Kokoshibo alone, but they were both severely damaged by the fight. If Kyojuro were to fight against Kokoshibo by himself, the fight would be nothing more than a diversion while he waits for the other people to arrive on the battlefield. If Kyojuro joined the fight late, Muichiro would still not be able to avoid being wounded. But there's a possibility that he would be able to reduce the damage the other members take in the battle. The only thing is, Kokoshibo's attacks frequently change and cover a wide area, so even if Gyomei and Sanemi were part of the battle, it would be hard to get close to Kokoshibo. Even if Kyojuro were to be a part of the fight, not only could they probably not take Kokoshibo's head, but they would still even have a hard time getting close to him. The most important person for the fight will end up being Sanemi's brother, Genya Shinazugawa, because he fought in a supporting position at the end of the battle. An attack from Genya's gun after he took in part of Kokoshibo and temporarily turned into a demon caused trees to sprout from Kokoshibo's body, rooting him into place and stopping his attacks. If time is made for Kokoshibo to get shot, then I'm sure that Genya would be able to attack Kokoshibo with no problem. In the manga, Muichiro sacrificed himself by getting as close to Kokoshibo as possible and stabbing him with his Nichiren sword. Even though his legs got damaged, Muichiro gave Genya enough time to attack Kokoshibo. If someone did not try to stop Kokoshibo, there would be no way for Genya to attack him. So if 4 pillars took Kokoshibo on, Muichiro would not have to sacrifice himself because they could all work together to slow down Kokoshibo. Because of that, I hope that both Muichiro and Gyomei will be able to look into the transparent world as soon as possible. Of course, if Kyojuro and Sanemi were both able to look into the transparent world, that would make the fight all the easier. Also, it would be great if they could turn their Nichiren swords into bright red blades as soon as possible. If the 4 pillars were careful of Kokoshibo's blood demon art that produces swords from his body, I'm sure they would be able to cut off Kokoshibo's head, thanks to Genya's attack. So, we think that if Kyojuro were able to join the battle, the humans would win the battle even without Muichiro sacrificing himself. If that were the case, there is the possibility that none of the humans would die, and they would be able to take part in the battle against Muzan. Of course, if Muichiro were to come upon Kokoshibo first, there's a chance that he would die from loss of blood from his left arm. So it would be best if Kyojuro were able to start the fight. So that's what we think would have happened if Kyojuro were able to take part in the battle at the Dimensional Infinity Fortress. In the interest of time, we left out the new demons of the upper rank, Kaigaku and Nakime. That's also because I think it's important that Kaigaku gets defeated by his fellow apprentice, Zenitsu Agatsuma, and Yushiro is really the best person to take on Nakime. If Kyojuro were to join the battle in the Dimensional Infinity Fortress, he would go up against the deadly upper-rank demons Akaza, Doma, and Kokoshibo, and be able to fight with the other members of the Demon Slayer Corps. In the case that he would not not be able to fight in one of the battles. I personally hope that he would be able to go up against Kokoshibo. The reason being, Gyu and Tanjiro were able to win against Akaza without any human sacrifices, whereas even if Kyojuro were to join the battle against Doma, there would be no way to stop any sacrifices. If he were to join the Kokoshibo battle, he would be able to reduce the number of people that would possibly die. But that's only what the results say. It would be better for Kyojuro not to think about which battle he would do the best in, but he should fight the enemies that are in front of him to the best of his ability. That's why a person like Kyojuro is needed in the Demon Slayer Corps. There are some that say that Tanjiro only grew because of Kyojuro's death, but I think it would be better for Tanjiro to have grown without the death, because Kyojuro would still be able to fight in that case. What do you think would have happened if Kyojuro were able to take part in the battle at the Dimensional Infinity Fortress? Please let us know in the comments. Thank you for watching to the end of the video. We will be uploading more surprising videos on Kimetsu no Yaiba soon, so please be sure to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss a thing. See you next time!